Hello students, in this video lecture we will discuss about the different classification of a kingdom protist. In the last class we will discuss about the general characteristics of a protist, and we will discuss about the different basic characters, different basic characters of organisms which are belongs to kingdom protist. Now in this class we will discuss about the how we classified different organism of protist into different phylums. Like protists are mainly like kingdom protist, the organisms of a kingdom protist. The organisms of a kingdom protist mainly classified into three groups. If I look into different classifications, there are so many types of classifications, but mainly the different organisms of a kingdom protist are classified into three groups, like autotrophic protists, like our autotrophic protists, or known as photosynthetic organism, or known as photosynthetic organism. As we know that the organisms of a protist, they show their characters which are similar to the character of a different organism which are belongs to either plants or either fungi or belongs to the different organisms of animals. It means जो protist के जो organism होते हैं उनके जो characters है वो characters प्लस चाहे प्लांट्स के कुछ ऑर्गेनिजम्स के कैरेक्टर के साथ, नहीं तो फंगाई के कुछ कैरेक्टर के साथ, नहीं तो एनिमल्स के कुछ कैरेक्टर के साथ मिला जुला रहता है. तो आई इन द लास्ट क्लास आई ऑलरेडी सेड दैट like protists are known as the connecting link between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes, means it is the connecting link between the kingdom monera and kingdom fungi, plantae and animalia. So in autotrophic protist means they are capable of autotrophic protist means they are capable of produce their own food. They show the characters like plants. We know that the plant have the power to produce their own food. They use sunlight, they use carbon dioxide, they use nutrient from the soil and use water. After that, they produce their own food in the presence of sunlight. But there are some protists. Those have the those have also the power to produce their own food. So they are known as autotrophic protists or photosynthetic protist or photosynthetic organisms of protist. And mainly the organisms belongs to phylum diatoms like dinoflagellates and belongs to euglenoids. These phylums, those organisms which are present in these phylums, they have the power to produce their own food. They are known as the photosynthetic protists. And there are another group of protists. There is another group of protists, and those are known as the consumer decomposer protists. Consumer decomposer protists. Consumer decomposer protist means they consume, means when a vegetative when a animal eat plants or a when we eat directly plants, we are known as consumer. So some protists are known as the consumer decomposer protist. Decomposer protist means they act like fungi or microbes. Microbes and fungi are the decomposers, means they decompose the dead organisms. So some protists are also, their function is equal to the function of decomposers. So they are known as the consumer decomposer protist. And mainly slime molds comes under this class. Slime molds are the consumer and decomposer protist. And again, slime molds are divided into two groups, that is cellular slime molds and the acellular slime molds. These are known as the consumer and decomposer protist. The uh, third type of protist, third group of protist are known as the protozoans. Are known as the protozoans. And there are many groups under protozoans, like protozoans are mainly divided into four types, mainly divided into four types. Those are amoeboid protozoan, amoeboid protozoans, and the next one is the flagellated, flagellated protozoans, and the next one is the ciliated protozoans, and the next one is the sporozoans. Next one is the sporozoans. And these consumer and a decomposer protist, they are mainly show the characteristics which are similar to fungi or fungi. They are so their the characteristics mainly similar to the characteristics of a fungi. And the protozoans, on the basis of protozoans are divided into these four groups, like amoeboid protozoans, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, sporozoans. Amoeboid protozoans, mainly those comes under amoeboid protozoans. They locomote through the amoeba like structure, means they locomote through the pseudopodia. They locomote through the pseudopodia. Those organisms, those protozoans which have the power to locomote through the organ pseudopodia, they are known as amoeboid protozoans. And those have flagella, they are known as flagellated protozoans. And those have cilia, they are known as ciliated protozoans. And in sporozoans, locomotory structure absent. Locomotory structure absent. This is the all about the all basic of our classification of a protist. And what I said, kingdom protist mainly divided into three groups: autotrophic protist, and they have the power to produce their own food, so they are known as photosynthetic protists. And the second category is consumer decomposer protist, and slime molds mainly belongs to this category. And they resemble their characters with the fungi. And the third one is the protozoans. The third one is the protozoans. And protozoans are the protist. Protozoans are the protist. We can say protozoans are the protists. Protozoans are the protists. They resemble their characters with kingdom Animalia or animals. Their characters mainly, most probably similar to the characters of the animals. So these protozoans are heterotrophic in nature. These protozoans are what? Heterotrophic in nature. Heterotrophic, heterotrophic in heterotrophic in nature. heterotrophic in nature, and they are believed to be protozoans are the protozoans are believed to be primitive relatives of primitive primitive relatives of animals. I already said that protozoans show the characters which are similar to the characters of animals. So they are known as the primitive relatives of the animals. Next, we will discuss in little about the different phylum of kingdom Protista, like about the diatoms, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, like slime molds, and little about all these things. First, we will see about the dinoflagellates. We'll see about the no, sorry. We'll first see about the diatoms. Now we'll see about the diatoms. And these diatoms are the golden brown protists. These are golden brown protists. These are the golden brown protists. These are known as diatoms are known as the protistan algae. These are known as what? Protistan algae. Major portion of a phytoplanktons. These diatoms are the major portion of phytoplanktons. Okay, these are the major portion of phytoplanktons. And these diatoms are both aquatic and terrestrial in nature. These are both aquatic, and terrestrial in nature. Terrestrial in nature. And we know that, and we know that their characteristics mostly resemble with the plants, mainly resemble with the algae. So they are known as the protistan algae. And these are the microscopic organisms possessing various color. These diatoms are microscopic in nature. These are microscopic in nature and have varying color. Varying color. They basically unicellular, and maybe they basically diatoms. Diatoms are basically unicellular, and some diatoms may be present as present as present as pseudofilament or colonies. Present at what? Pseudo pseudofilament or colonies. These are some basic characteristics of diatoms. We'll see all basic characteristics of different phylums which are belongs to uh, kingdom Protista. And these diatoms are known as what? Photosynthetic protists. They are belongs to photosynthetic protists. Then um, these diatoms lack flagella. These diatoms, it is important. Note this. It is important that diatoms diatoms lack flagella, but in but in reproductive stage, reproductive stage, they have flagella. In reproductive stage, they have flagella. This is important. Diatoms mainly lack flagella, but in reproductive stage, they have flagella. And I already said that the most of the diatoms form the phytoplankton. Major portion of diatoms function as the phytoplankton in aquatic environment. And we will next see that the cell wall the cell wall of diatom consists of silica. Means there we can notice silica in the cell wall of a diatoms. So and this silicaceous cell is transparent in nature. What I said, we can notice silica silica in the cell wall of diatoms, in the cell wall of diatoms. And uh, this this siliceous cell are transparent, and and they are called as and they are called as frustule. They are called as frustules. They are called as frustule. The next thing is like that as these are belongs to photosynthetic protist, as they are belongs to photosynthetic protist, they contain chlorophyll. They contain chlorophyll, and chlorophyll like and chlorophyll like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll C, then our beta carotene, then our scanthophyls, beta carotene, scanthophyls, scanthophyls, and scanthophyls like diatoscanthine, diatoscanthine. These all are the informations. We have to remember all these things. Diatoscanthine and diadinoscanthine are seen in the diatoms. As they are photosynthetic in nature, they contain chlorophyll. And the main chlorophyll pigments are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll C, beta carotene, scanthophyll. And in scanthopin, there are two types: diatoscanthine and diadinoscanthine. And they mainly they these diatoms mainly undergo asexual reproduction. These diatoms, diatoms mainly undergo asexual reproduction. And binary fission, binary fission is common type of asexual reproduction in diatoms. There is a resting spore stage, resting Resting spore stage. Resting spore stage. Resting spore stage. We can notice in diatoms, and the stage is known as stratospore. That stage is known as what? Stratospore. Stratospores. What do you mean by resting spore stage? It is occurring in adverse environmental condition. It is occurring adverse environmental conditions. When the environmental condition is not in the favor of the diatoms, or not in the favor of their growth, reproduction, and other physiological activities, they undergo in a spore stage, which is known as the resting spore stage, and that particular resting spores are known as the statospores, and they are known as the statospores. And we know that these diatoms are the very good indicators. These diatoms these diatoms are the good indicator of water pollution. Of water pollution. Then the next thing I want to say you that when diatoms when diatoms get died, or when diatoms died, they deposited in the seafloor and form diatomaceous earth. What do you mean by that? That we know that the cell wall of a diatoms contain silica. The cell wall of a diatoms contain silica. I already said this. When diatoms are died, they deposited on the floor, and after millions of years, they form this deposition forms the diatomaceous earth. This deposition forms the diatomaceous earth, and the main constituent of a diatomaceous earth is what? Silica. So these are look like the these diatomaceous earth look like the whitish whitish powder whitish powder, and they are mainly used for the polishing purpose. They are mainly used for the polishing purpose. These are all about the small introduction about the diatoms. Next we will see about the dinoflagellates. Now we'll know something, little things about all these things. We will now study about the dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates. The dinoflagellates are also golden brown photosynthetic protists like diatoms. These are also golden brown, and these are also the photosynthetic photosynthetic protists. These are also the photosynthetic protists, and belong to the class the organisms. These are belongs to the class, mainly belongs to the class Dinoici. We know that the animal kingdom, or the different kingdoms in the hierarchy way, like first species, then genus, then family, like from upper level to lower level, like kingdom, uh, phylum, class, then order, then family, then genus, then the species. These are the hierarchy of a taxonomy or systematics. We classified different living organisms in this hierarchy only. So mainly the dinoflagellates are belongs to the class Dinophyceae, and these dinoflagellates are mainly marine, but some are freshwater organisms also. Freshwater organisms also. Then the next thing is like these are also unicellular, motile, biflagellate, golden brown. All things I already said. Said, and the main thing is like that. The in dinoflagellates, the reserve food material, the reserve food reserve food material in dinoflagellates is the richer food materials in dinoflagellates is carbohydrate, carbohydrates and carbohydrate and oil. Next, these dinoflagellates these dinoflagellates possess flagella. These dinoflagellates also possess flagella. They have flagella also. But, but the flagella present in dinoflagellates is called as heterocont. The flagella is called as heterocont. Means uh, different types of flagella as they are mainly biflagellate in nature. As I said, those dinoflagellates are biflagellate. Biflagellates in nature, these two flagellas are different. These two flagellas are different. Means the structure of two flagella are different from each other. They are different from each other, and this condition of a flagella is called as heterocont condition. This condition is called as what? Heterocont condition. then we'll see that a non-contractile vacuole in dinoflagellates, a non-contractile vacuole here, a non-contractile vacuole, a non-contractile vacuole called as pistule is present, which help in the process like flotation and osmoregulation. These are the some features of dinoflagellates. Then I want to say you that some dinoflagellates, some some dinoflagellates, some dinoflagellates like some dinoflagellates like Gonialux, Gonialax. They secrete a toxin known as known as saxitoxin, They secrete a toxin known as saxitoxin, and this saxitoxin causes a disease in fishes, disease in fishes, known as paralytic shellfish poisoning. This disease is known as paralytic Selfish poisoning, poisoning. And in short form, this disease is known as PSP. The short form, this disease is known as PSP. And some dinoflagellates, dinoflagellates proliferate in large number and cause red tide of the sea. As they are red in nature, some dinoflagellates proliferate means increase their number and they forms uh, red tide. Red tide means that area occurs red in color. Red tide in sea. Red tide in it can be a sub question. Red tide in sea is due to which organisms or they belongs to which phylum means they are belongs to dinoflagellates. Then the next photosynthetic protist is euglenoids. Is euglenoids. And euglenoids, the very well-known organism which belongs to euglenoids, we all hear the name of the organism is euglena. Is euglena. This is also a protist, and the this protist shows the nature which are mainly equal to the nature of like plant-like nature. This they express the plant-like features and the main thing is like euglenoids are unicellular, euglenoids are euglenoids are unicellular, unicellular, and these are flagellate protists, flagellate protists, and mainly found in water, mainly found in water or dam soil. Dam soil means those soil which are always in waterlogging conditions. In waterlogging condition meaning जहाँ पर हमेशा पानी का दलदल रहता है उस टाइप के सॉइल को हम क्या बोलते हैं डैम सॉइल बोलते हैं. Majority of them are freshwater organism and found in stagnant water. The organisms belongs to euglenoids are mainly fresh water organisms, found in found in stagnant stagnant water. Stagnant water means those water which are not flowing water. Stagnant water means not flowing water, not flowing water is known as stagnant. Not flowing means the water of a river is flowing towards the sea. In sea, the water is in a wave form, so they are not stagnant in nature. But in ponds, in lakes, the water is mainly stagnant in nature. They are not flowing from one place to another place. Those type of water is known as stagnant water. And in stagnant water, we can mainly found euglenoids. We can mainly found euglenoids. And the body is spindle shaped. The body of euglenoids are shaped. One of the important point here is that in euglenoids, cell wall is absent. Cell wall is absent. As it is so, the feature like plants. but they don't have the cell wall, or cell wall is absent. But a covering which is known as pellicle is present, which is proteinaceous in structure. As cell wall is absent, but instead of cell wall, we can notice a proteinaceous structure which is called as pellicle, known as pellicle, and this pellicle is noticed in euglenoids, and uh, this pellicle is mainly noticed in euglenoids. Locomotor structure, the locomotor structure in euglenoids is flagella. Flagella is the locomotory structure, and the flagella we can see here is of two type, that is whiplash type. One is whiplash type, and another is the tinsel type, of a flagella. What is the difference between tinsel type and whiplash type? Whiplash type means just a long structure, means if it is the body of the protista, this type of flagella is known as whiplash type of flagella. But the tinsel type of flagella is like feather, feather, feather-like structure. Means we can see here, this is a feather-like structure, and is the tinsel type of flagella. And here, this is the central part, and here this is also the central part. And this central part is known as axonemes. Axoneme. This central part is known as axoneme. And as it is a photosynthetic algae, They also contain what? Chlorophyll. They also contain what? Chlorophyll. And mainly these chlorophylls are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B. These chlorophylls are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Instead of a chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, they also contain different pigments like xanthophylls and beta carotene. There is a structure. There is a structure present in the euglenids which is known as stigma or eye spot, and it is photosensitive in nature. Photosynthetic in nature. Photosensitive, not photosynthetic. It is photosensitive in nature. And in euglena, we can notice mixotropic. Mixotropic nutrition. What we can notice here? Mixotropic nutrition means hollow, holophytic and holozoic, and holozoic type of nutrition we can see in euglena or in euglenoids. There is a structure known as paramylon. There is a structure is known as paramylon. Paramylon, and this paramylon is the reserve food material. It is the reserve food reserve food material in protists, in in euglenoids, in euglenoids, and and they mainly they mainly reproduce by binary fission. They mainly reproduce. This is a type of asexual. This is a type of asexual reproduction. This is a type of what? Asexual reproduction, and in unfavorable condition, and this is occur in favorable condition, and in unfavorable condition, they reproduce through the cyst formation. Cyst formation. Here, I already told you about the another structure like uh, in adverse condition they form a structure, and in euglenoids they form cyst like structure in uh, adverse condition, in adverse condition. And the next thing about the euglenoids, euglena is the producer decomposer protist. Euglenoids, euglenoids and the organism belongs to euglenoids is euglena, and these are these are these are known as producer and decomposer protists. Means, as we studied that they have chlorophyll, they can produce their own food, but in the absence of sunlight, when they are not producing their own food, when they are not producing their own food, they are act like the decomposer. They act like the decomposer. So these are the known as the producer and decomposer protist. They are known as what? Producer and decomposer protist. And euglena, euglena, euglena belongs to euglenoids. So the features similar to similar to plants and animals. Plants and animals. They show features similar to plants and animals. They have euglena have plant like feature and also animal like feature. We'll discuss about plant like feature first. Plant like features or characters. Plant like, what are the plant like features? Plant like features means presence of chloroplast, presence of presence of chloroplast, or photosynthetic nature. Photosynthetic nature, it is a plant like feature. The second plant like feature is like holophytic nutrition. Holophytic nutrition means, holophytic nutrition means what? They produce their own food like plant like nutrition, and they also show animal like features. This euglena also show animal like feature. What are the animal like feature? There are some feature which are similar to the features of animals, like absence of cell wall. I already said that absence of cell wall. What is present instead of a cell wall? I already said. What is present? Pellicle. Here I already said. Where is the point? Here. Here, instead of a cell wall, we can notice proteinaceous structure, that is pellicle. So, absence of cell wall. In animals also, there is the cell wall also not present. So absence of cell wall is a animal like feature, or presence of stigma, presence of a stigma, presence of stigma. Then the feature is then the feature is like presence of a contractile vacuole, presence of contractile vacuole. It is contractile vacuole. It is a feature, animal like feature also. And the next point is like that presence of longitudinal binary pigeon, presence of presence of longitudinal binary pigeon. Okay, these are all are the characteristics of a photosynthetic protist, and we here discuss about the diatoms, dinoflagellates, and euglenids. Let's take a 1 minute rest. Next, we'll discuss about the other classification of a other classifications of a protist. Please wait for only 1 minute. Okay, let's start again. And we already discussed about the different photosynthetic protists. We discussed first about the diatoms, then about the dinoflagellates, and then in the last we discussed about the euglenoids. Euglenoids are known as what I said. They are known as the producer decomposer protist. Producer decomposer protist. Now we'll discuss about the slime molds. Now we'll discuss about the slime molds. And slime molds are known as the mainly known as the consumer. Slime molds are known as the consumer decomposer composer protists. Consumer decomposer protist. They include in class Myxomycetes. They are they are include in class Myxomycetes. Myxomycetes means, according to some scientists, they are belong to kingdom protist, and some scientists place them in the kingdom fungi. So they are belongs to class Myxomycetes. And one scientist, this is not important that much, but you know that one scientist known as D. Berry, they called these slime molds and mycetozoa. Means mycetozoa means mycelium. Mycelium mainly a word which represents to the fungi, and zoa means animal. Fungi like animals. Their characteristics similar to the fungi, and their characteristics also similar to the animals. So they he named all slime molds as mycetozoa. And some scientists call these slime molds as protistan protistan fungi, called as protistan fungi. We'll now see about some general characteristics of slime molds. That slime molds are usually slime molds are usually free living, free living, free living, creeping over, creeping over debris like fallen leaves. Means they live over debris. Means those uh, organic materials like fallen leaves, fallen leaves, and and on wood, and on wood. Then the next thing is like that, they have naked protoplast. These slime molds have naked protoplast, not covered by any cell wall. Means slime molds don't have don't have cell wall, and their protoplast plast is naked. Means there is no covering around the protoplast. No covering around the protoplast. They lack, these slime molds lack chlorophyll as they are what, consumer and decomposer algae. They don't have the power to prepare their own food through the process of photosynthesis. So they this is due to they lack chlorophyll. They lack chlorophyll, and they show saprophytic, saprophytic or phagotropic, saprophytic or phagotropic nutrition. Saprophytic means one. Saprophytic means this is a saprophytic means when one organism get their own food from dead leaves and organic matters. That type of nutrition is known as saprophytic nutrition. And phagotropic nutrition means the direct injection. So direct injection of a solid particles, direct injection of a solid particles, like phagocytosis, like phagocytosis, in which intracellular digestion occurs, and this is slime molds mainly so saprophytic or phagotropic mode of nutrition. Then slime molds show both asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. Asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. During life cycle, they have amoeboid and non-cellulosic, but spores have cellulosic cell wall. So their vegetative phase resemble with animal, while reproductive phase resemble with plants. As I said here, slime molds don't have cell wall. This is for the vegetative phase. This is for the vegetative phase. But in reproductive phase, in reproductive phase, reproductive phase, they have, means spores have cell wall. They have cell wall. So they said that the reproductive stage of slime molds have characters which is similar to plants. But the vegetative phase have, characters which is similar to animals, which is similar to what, animals. So and slime molds are mainly divided into two groups, that is acellular, slime molds and cellular slime molds. Slime molds. So we don't have to discuss in detail about all these things. Now as we are starting the general classification. just little things about the classification. Then we will discuss about the next type of protists, and those are known as the protozoans. Now we will discuss about the protozoans. Protozoans. Proto means here proto means primitive, and zoa means what? Animals. So the protozoans are the known as the animals, primitive animals. As the characteristics of protozoans is similar to the characteristics of animals. They are believed to be the primitive relatives. They are believed to be the primitive relatives of animals. But primitive relatives of animals. And according to the presence of a different locomotor structure, according according to the presence of different locomotory structure, protozoans are mainly classified into four types, that is amoeboid protozoans, amoeboid protozoans. The next one is the flagellated flagellated protozoans. The next one is the our next one is the ciliated protozoans, and the fourth one is the sporozoans. Sporozoans. In amoeboid protozoans, the locomotor structure is the pseudopodia. In flagellated protozoans, locomotor structure is the flagella. We'll study about the detail because in your syllabus there is we have to study in detail about the locomotor structure of a protist. Maybe in the next class we'll discuss about the locomotor structure, nutrition, and reproduction in protist. And in ciliated protozoans, the main locomotor structure or locomotor structure is cilia, and in sporozoans, locomotor structure is absent. Locomotor structure is absent. And the amoeboid protozoans mainly found in freshwater, freshwater, seawater, seawater, moist soil. This is the habitat of a amoeboid protozoans, and example of a amoeboid protozoan is amoeba and entamoeba. Then these flagellated protozoans, their flagellated protozoans are free living aquatic, and and aquatic. The example of a flagellated protozoan is trypanosoma, trypanosoma. And trypanosoma causes a disease known as sleeping sickness. It's known is sleeping sickness. And in ciliated protozoans mainly found in fresh water. mainly found in fresh water. And some ciliated protozoans also act as parasite. Act as parasite. And the example of a ciliated protozoan is paramecium. Is paramecium. And sporozoans. In sporozoans, as I said, locomotor structure is absent. Locomotor structure is absent. So all sporozoans are parasitic. All sporozoans are parasitic, and they are known as endoparasites. They are known as endoparasites. What do you mean by endoparasite? Parasites are mainly of two types. Parasites are mainly of two types. One is our endoparasite and one is our ectoparasite. One is our ectoparasite. Ectoparasite live on the outer body surface. Live on the outer body surface. Outer body surface. Like there is example tick and lice. These are the example of a ectoparasite. Endoparasite means they are living inside the body of, like in our alimentary canal there are many parasites. They are known as the endoparasites, living inside inside the inside the body of living organism is known as endoparasite, and these sporozoans are endoparasitic. These are mainly endoparasitic, and they causes disease also. They like different disease are caused due to these sporozoans. One famous example of these sporozoans is plasmodium. Plasmodium, which we know this from our childhood about plasmodium. And why we know this? That malaria is a most common fever in our childhood. So, and this malaria is done by this plasmodium, which is a sporozoa. So, malaria is caused by plasmodium. In one class, we will study about the life cycle of plasmodium. So, thank you everyone. Uh, in next class, we will discuss about more things like about the locomotory organs and different locomotory organs in protist, nutrition of a protist and reproduction of a protist. Thank you.